Hey everybody, thanks for tuning into my Friday rate update. There is a lot to unpack today, and I'm going to start with the jobs report this morning and what it means to interest rates. The federal government, first Friday of every month, releases the jobs report on how many jobs were created or lost in the prior month. The jobs created in January were huge. More importantly, is they revised the numbers for December and November. John, what does all that gibberish mean? What it really means is the economy is doing really good. That freaks out the Federal Reserve because they are super afraid that inflation is going to continue to go rampantly out of control. When everybody has a job, when everybody's making good money, they're going to spend it really, really easily, and that's what's causing inflation. It's the lack of supply of goods and the increase in demand, and everybody having a job means there's even more demand. That's what's going to lead the Fed to significantly raise interest rates this year. And if you haven't paid attention, rates have gone up a lot in the last 45 days. We are squarely in the high threes and in some cases touching the low fours. That created a significant concern for buyers. I have a lot of buyers right now that are freaking out. I bet you have the same thing. They're worried about where interest rates are going and what that's going to mean to their buying power. First of all, remind them, interest rates simply drive your payment up a little bit, just like increasing the purchase price made your payment go up a little bit. But I have some really, really good news. Next week, we are launching a shop and lock, or excuse me, I should say a lock and shop program that will allow your buyers to lock in their interest rates before they've identified a home. Now be aware, this is not the silver bullet. There's going to be caveats to it. There's going to be timelines that say, hey, once we lock, you've got to find a home and close escrow within 60 days or 90 days. And that's going to be tough in today's market. But for the right person, it's going to give them the peace of mind. And if we combine that with talking to them about releasing their appraisal contingencies, talking to them about loan contingency, and maybe we get full loan approval ahead of time, we can essentially write an offer same as cash. And I'm closing right now in less than 21 days on most transactions. So if you know a buyer that needs to get a closing happening quickly, or worse yet, if you've got a buyer that's in trouble with their current lender, give me a call because I've got the ability to move quickly and we can take great advantage of these people. We're in a changing market right now and we need to be aware of the changes. Speaking of changes, the most important thing I want to talk to you about is the change to guidelines for self-employed people. If we rewind back 2 years, when COVID was becoming a major problem in spring of 2020, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac came out and said, bam, we're going to put the brakes on qualification for self-employed people by adding 2 major requirements. We had to get a profit and loss statement, and we had to get 3 months of bank statements proving income to match that profit and loss statement. I have great news. This week, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac pulled back that requirement. That means that if somebody's completed their 2020 tax return, which had to be done last year, I can use that tax return. I don't need a P&L. I don't need a bank statement. I literally can qualify them right now based upon what their taxes showed in 2020. And if those taxes didn't look good, then they should talk to me to review their taxes before they file them. They're going to prepare them with their tax preparer and send them over to me. I know I've covered a lot. I got one more thing I want to cover with you, and it is a huge call to action. You need every single one of your sellers to talk to me or another lender before they put their house on the market. Because the significant increases in interest rates is causing a lot of sellers to have payment shock. I'll give you a simple example. Somebody who bought their home 10 years ago for $200,000. They've refinanced in the last year and a half and they've got a 2.5% interest rate. That house might be worth $400,000 today and they want to buy a $100,000 higher priced home. That puts them, in their mind, as only about a 20%, 25% increase in purchase price. Therefore, it should only be that much of an increase in their monthly payment. They couldn't be more wrong. Their monthly payment is probably going to double because their property taxes were based on the $200,000 they paid for the house and they're buying a $500,000 home. So their taxes went up by 2.5 times. Secondly, they're making a monthly payment on a $200,000 loan at 2.5%. They're now going to owe at a significantly higher interest rate And finally, their mortgage balance is going to go up by more than just the $100,000 they're purchasing the home for, because they've got to pay you to sell their house. They've got to pay me for the fees on the purchase of the new loan, and they've got moving expenses. So there's easily $50,000 of additional loan. Their balance is going from $200 to $350. Don't get me wrong. I'm not being doomsday. I'm not telling you people shouldn't sell. But wouldn't you hate it if you had a house listed on the market, you had paid for the Matterport, you'd paid for the drone video, you've done all of this stuff, you've staged the home, and then they finally talk to a lender and find out, I'm not going to save the money I thought I was going to save. You just spent a bunch of money out of pocket. And worse yet, if they're in contract, they can't get out of that contract. They have to sell the home, and you didn't give them the right advice. Sometimes talking somebody out of doing something is the best thing you can do to build a long-term client. I'm looking forward to taking great care of you and your clients and making you a continued long-term client of mine. Thanks and have an amazing weekend. Talk to you soon.